Hi, this is Paul Kelly. I want to talk to you again today about a little bit about breath support. Last video we talked a little bit about the soft palate, how to manipulate the soft palate, how to get open that space up so that you can get more of the upper range of your voice and have it more accessible to you, get a bigger, rounder, more resonant sound. Now, every time you open that space, it's reliant upon the fact that you have good breath support underneath it to support the sound inside that space. The further you open up the soft palate, the higher it lifts, the more breath support you need under it, the more air you need to push through to keep that voice afloat. So this is very important that we understand the proper breath support and a technique that will allow you not only to reach those higher notes in your range, but also to phrase beautifully and to keep a beautiful legato sound throughout your singing. Singers, you have to understand, we're just a wind instrument, okay? The only difference between us and someone who plays a clarinet or a trumpet or a tuba or a trombone, saxophone, the only difference is that we hold the instrument inside. We've got the equivalent of the reed of a clarinet or a saxophone in our throats, and instead of an instrument made of metal or wood, we've got our resonating cavities in the face and in the throat, and in all of our bodies essentially become a resonating cavity for the sound that we're producing. So other than the fact that the instrument is essentially ourselves and not an external instrument, singers are by nature a wind instrument. Okay, we use the breath, we use the lungs as our source of the air, and we use the lower abdominals and the lower back muscles as the support for the air in those lungs, so that we can control how that air is held and how that air is expelled, okay, in a subtle way, and and so that it has some very, very fine control over how that air is expelled from our bodies. So let's take that information and work on it a little bit. What I want you to do, you can stand or sit as you like, but be sure that if you're sitting down, that you're sitting up straight with your feet firmly on the floor and your back straight against the back of a chair, so that you can feel, when you take a breath, you want to feel the support in the back. Therefore, if you've got a chair against your back, the support of a chair against your back, you'll be able to feel whenever you take that breath in, okay? So what I want you to do, I want you to take a nice deep breath, open the throat, and feel that breath all the way down against the lower abs. If you were to put your hand against your lower abdominals, you would be able to feel that abdominal muscle push out, because you're bringing air into the lungs, and therefore you're expanding all of that cavity where the lungs are. As soon as the lungs expand, everything else has to make way for those expanded lungs, okay? So take a nice deep breath. Feel that, put your hand right on your lower abdominal muscles, just below the navel, and feel your hand expand and push out against when the air comes in. Right, here we go. We're going to try it now. Here we go. Okay, you feel the pushing out. You feel the abdominals pushing out against your hand. Okay, now expel the air. Relax the muscles. Now put your other hand against your lower back. Against the lower back. If you look at it as if you had a girdle, okay, around your waist, you would have the abdominals in the front, and you would have a band of muscles around the back of you as well. And when you take the breath in, and it's a nice low breath, that expands like a girdle, but it's a girdle of muscle, as an elastic girdle would be. So you've got a bit of tug of war there. So you're pushing out against something that's trying to push back in, and that's exactly what you want. You want that tension in between the breath pushing out and the muscle trying to pull in. Okay, so you've got a very, very fluid situation, and you want to keep a sort of stasis. That's the idea with singing support. It's not you want to push all the air out, but you want, when the air comes in, you want to have that competing pressure or competing muscle that's able to hold it in stasis. So if you put your hand around your back and feel the lower back muscles. Do the same thing. Take that nice low breath in with your hand around on your back muscles. You can feel the pressure against the lower back muscles as well. It's not the same amount of pressure because the back muscles don't move as much as the lower abdominals can. There's not as much give and take there. But you still can feel some pressure pushing out. You should be able to feel the pressure of the air against your lower back muscles as well. So altogether, between the lower abdominals and the back muscles and the muscles around the side, you have this the equivalent of an elastic band or a girdle around you. It's actually inside you, creating that stasis, keeping that stasis between the breath and the muscle. Okay, next step. So experiment with this a little bit. Take the breath in and open the throat at the same time. These have to happen at the same time. When you take a breath in, the throat lifts, the soft palate lifts a little bit, the back of the throat opens so that you've got a nice open space. When you feel the air against the abdominals and the lower back, essentially what you're doing is tightening those muscles ever so slightly. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to make them completely rigid as if you were doing sit-ups or anything. It's not quite that rigid. You need to keep those muscles fluid. So when you take the breath in and open the throat, you can immediately start to speak or sing, and the muscles tense a certain amount so that all the time those muscles are controlling how the air is expelled from the lungs and how the air goes through the larynx as well. Okay? So if we want to try this, we'll take a breath in and just sing on a tone. And don't take the breath in and then hold it. So you want to take the breath in, ah, and immediately sing. As soon as you're done with the note, relax the muscles. Okay? So you don't hold them tense the whole time. You only hold the tension in those muscles while you're singing. So once you're done singing, I stop and relax the muscles, the air rushes back in. Make sure when you're breathing this way that the breath stays low. That's of primary importance. So always, every time you stop, relax the lower muscles, make sure that the breath that you take in is down low and so that it's pushing out against the lower abdominals and the lower back. You don't want the breath to start creeping up and feel that the breath is getting more and more shallow and it's higher and higher. So each time you take the breath, it's a relaxed low breath and you release the abdominal muscles and then you start again by tensing them for the next phrase. But not until you're ready to sing, okay? Now, the more you experiment with this, the more you should find that as you're singing and as you're going up for higher notes, if you're in the lower range, you'll use less air. As you go up into a higher range, you'll need slightly more tension in the muscles and slightly more air pushed through to the larynx. So if I'm singing down low, I still keep the support, the level of support of the muscles intact, but as I go up in the scale, as I get up in the upper part of my range or in the higher notes, I find that those muscles are pulling in faster and faster and they're using more air so that I can reach those upper notes in my range. Well, that's about enough information for one video. It should get you started. We'll have other breathing and support videos coming up. In the meantime, I hope you found this helpful. If you like this video, if you find it helpful to you, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. And please do leave me comments. It's always interesting for me to hear who's thinking what about these, who's got ideas about breathing, who's got ideas about soft palate, who's got ideas about vowel production. Whatever it is, if you sing, please do leave me a comment. I'll get back to you as quickly as I possibly can. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks very much. See you in the next video. Bye.